coming! Hey guys, Crew of Blind Wave, I'm Eric.
I'm Shane.
I'm Aaron.
And we're back for Star Wars Rebels. Last time on Rebels was...
Death!
No.
Destruction.
Was the
Click-clack?
evil... Nope, that Click-clack was one before that. This one was the droid.
Oh yeah, the fucking
The
assassin
infiltrator
droid,
droid.
like
Zeb.
Yeah, and Zeb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was a good
the
looking
Ralph
droid.
McQuarrie art
Yeah.
original protocol droid.
I don't think there's only going to be any lead over from that.
Well,
even though
Thrawn.
the Thrawn, yeah.
Thrawn's like, well, I know now instead of thousands of systems, are on one of these 90.
So anyway, the cool thing about Rebels is sometimes you just get stories that's come out of the blue. So I have no idea what's going to happen next. So we don't know where we're going to be going or who we're going with, but I imagine it might have something to do with Star Wars. Ah!
Who'd you kill now?
Ezra.
I've got something to show you.
Oh shit!
You see it?
What's this about?
Yeah.
Lightsaber.
Not just any lightsaber.
I like the idea of it. I just hate to look.
I love it.
So you recognize it.
A symbol for the leader of House Vizsla, and later the group known as Death Watch. Legend tells that it was created over 1,000 years ago by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. After his passing, the Jedi kept the saber in their temple. That was until members of House Vizsla snuck in and liberated. He ruled all of Mandalore wielding this blade.
Okay, that's cool.
I imagine Sabine was excited to recover it.
You wouldn't know it. After we got back from Dathomir, she gave it to me for safekeeping and hasn't brought it up since.
She doesn't want the responsibility. Kanan, if Sabine can wield this saber, she can reunite one of the most powerful houses in all of Mandalore.
You're talking about raising an army.
With Sabine
An army.
leading it.
Sabine's leading the
A
army. That
rebel
could be
army.
good, right? Do nothing. Just so quiet.
You can walk away and forget about it.
All right, I'll do it. Just give me the saber.
Careful.
Listen, once people know you have it, you will be challenged. And you need to be able to defend yourself.
Okay, I'll try my best.
First lesson, don't try. Just learn.
This is Bendu's place, right? That's the cave.
When you said you were going to be training me, I thought there'd be more sword fighting involved.
Hey, it's always like this. He was the same with me.
Yeah, and look how well you've turned out.
Hey, what's this?
Training saber.
Kendo stick.
Really?
Before we start with the real thing, I want to see your technique.
I already know how to fight with a stick.
Then this should be easy for you.
One-handed. Behind the back. Form 2.
That might work on a stormtrooper, but not me.
Shit.
Man.
Like Tom Cruise in the rain.
You better practice with Ezra first.
All right.
Why?
Ezra, walk her through the forms.
Kanan.
Ezra's still taking her through the basic forms of the training sabers.
Training sabers? You mean those sticks you and Zed made?
I'm being careful.
Were you careful with Ezra? I don't remember him fighting with a stick.
Well, maybe I'm trying to do things differently this time.
Or maybe because she doesn't have the Force, you don't believe she can do this?
No. The Force resides in all living things, but you have to be open to it. Sabine is blocked. Her mind is conflicted. She's so expressive and yet so tightly wound. She's so...
Mandalorian.
Ugh, very.
I have sandwiches.
Let's take a break.
You broke it.
Ezra, help unload these supplies.
What? I won. Shouldn't I get the break?
You can have these.
What's that?
Whoa. Mandalorian van braces? Where did you get these?
Beskar.
Try them on.
I should be able to block
Paralyzing
lightsabers.
Darts, repulsor, all designed
Oh.
to combat the abilities of the Jedi.
Of what?
Go take Bridget down.
They can combat abilities of the Jedi. So technological things to make you more Jedi-like, I guess.
Maybe I won't go easy on you this time.
Oh, it's like a whole own little force push.
Sonic boom.
Hey.
Is this a game for you?
No game, just outsmarting my opponent. Care to take a shot?
Shit, he's pissed.
History lesson. The Jedi won the war with Mandalore. These tricks will amount to something. Maybe save you from time to time, but they won't keep you alive in the long run.
She's gonna be mad.
The only thing I'm learning is that Ezra must be really gifted to learn as well as he has from a lousy teacher like you.
I'd be done. Oh, you're done. You're done. Ezra, you're Mandalore now.
I don't want to talk about these things. How can I lead my people? How can I go back there and face them?
I'm sorry, Sabine. At least you have parents to go back to.
There's some shade there.
Ezra.
Stop it. I think it's Bendo.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Kicking me. She didn't hear that. Hey, girl. What?
You still won't let her train with a Darksaber.
Look, Sabine is a capable warrior.
Sabers are
in some
dangerous.
ways more so than Ezra, but she can't or won't find balance within herself. Until she does, wielding an actual lightsaber is far too dangerous for her.
By letting her pretend with that stick, you're only encouraging her not to commit to this.
You're not listening to me. If I let her use the Darksaber, she will get hurt.
She's already hurt.
I don't agree
Her
with anything
family
he
hurt
said.
her.
I think
more than
Ez-
any
yeah, I think
sword.
Kane is
You don't
right.
see it because she doesn't
I don't want people
want you
disrespecting
to.
stick fighting.
But you can.
Very valuable.
Oh,
Because
I
I
agree.
know what it's like when people you love don't believe in you.
From what we know of lightsabers and like, yeah, it takes years.
I didn't think she'd be gone this long.
She'll return. Then we'll see.
She's
Maybe.
back.
Tell you what, she came over the ridge, I wouldn't be like, she's back!
I know.
You know? I'd be like,
I owe you an apology.
Maybe I should practice more first.
Take it. It's yours. Ignite the blade.
That was cool.
It's heavier than I thought.
Energy constantly flows through the crystal. You're not fighting with a simple blade as much as you are directing a current of power. The blades will be drawn to each other.
you're right.
There's pull. Can you feel it? That sword is old, heavy, but powerful. Respect its strength. Block low. High. Let's work on a series. Are you ready?
Yes.
He's gotten so good at being able to see without.
Yeah, with that scene.
Fuck yeah.
You must use all your skills together. Ready position. You'll have to do better.
Shing, schlong.
Cool. Oh, no one gets hurt. Oh!
Yep.
Oh, it broke her toy.
You're not fighting me. You're fighting yourself. And losing.
Ooh, shit.
You should quit.
I don't quit. I never quit.
I like this.
You did run, didn't you?
No.
That's what your people believe, isn't it? You ran from the Empire. You ran from your family.
Lies.
So what's the truth?
I left to save everyone. My mother. My father. My brother. I helped enslave my people. I wanted to stop it. I had to stop it. I spoke out. I spoke out to save them. To save everyone.
Training?
But when I did, my family didn't stand with me. They chose the Empire. They left me. Gave me no choice.
Your family is in a prison, one of their own making. It's up to you to help them out of it.
Why would they follow me?
I know this might not be what you want to hear, but for what it's worth, I would follow you.
So would I. And I mean it.
You've come a long way in a very short time. Where you go from here is up to you. But know, this family will stand by you no matter what you choose.
All right, guys. So we had a little bit of technical difficulties the other day, and we actually
It
lost.
was Aaron Elliott's fault.
It was not. It was my fault. Anyway, we lost a lot of our conversation. There's going to be a little of that conversation towards the end. So when we go into our viewer questions and we do a wrap up, we'll do it there. But we actually lost a lot of our conversation about the actual episodes.
It's actually like my favorite conversation we ever had.
Yeah, so me and Shane are actually going to go over some of those points we had made and maybe some new ones. I don't know.
That's what this channel's about.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing I had written down was I loved the part with the Mandalorian Jedi at the very beginning when they were talking about the actual Darksaber.
Oh, how they showed on the wall?
Yeah, his name was Tal Vizsla,
Talvis.
and they said it happened 1,000 years ago, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Now, old EU 1,000 years ago would have been the Jedi Sith War. I love that little vision kind of animation thing we got. It kind of reminded me of like the Tale of Three Brothers thing from Harry Potter.
It reminded me kind of the Clone Wars original micro series with a painting on
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah, with the kind of designs from those specific aliens.
Prophesying Anakin's transformation.
Yeah, but I thought that was cool. But they said Tal Vizsla was the first, and I don't know if they said only, but he was at least the first Mandalorian Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, like, can you both be a Mandalorian and a Jedi at the same time? Like, it seems like it's completely different philosophies. It's like being a Jedi Sith, to me.
Maybe he's Mandalorian culture. I mean, because Jedi in the old Republic, they had to be taken as a baby.
Yeah.
So maybe he was just a baby born. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Then he found out about his heritage.
At least in that little piece of animation, we had him wearing a Mandalorian helmet and using that saber. You know, an unconventional saber that I don't know. I doubt. I don't know if the other Jedi used something like that or not.
No, I guess you're right. I don't think he could have been taken as a baby and made a saber like that. He would have made one similar to everyone else.
Been a little more traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the idea that the after he died and the Jedi kind of held his lightsaber like in their archives, which to me makes it sound almost as if he was like
revered.
He was revered.
Yeah.
But if they stole it and they started using it as a symbol of power, I wonder. It's interesting. Like they said, Tal Vizsla. That would be an interesting character to get to know because how would he feel about Mandalorians using his lightsaber as a matter of power, whereas lightsabers are generally made as a matter of knowledge and defense.
Yeah, they use their swords as shields.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was an interesting concept. It would be cool to see something like that. But that's actual canon, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, some of the other stuff that I got, they want Sabine to be able to do this so they can unite the Vizsla family, or the Vizsla clan, and create a rebel Mandalorian army, which is an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we don't see Mandalorians ever again, you know, with the stuff that we've seen before.
No.
So I don't know how lasting that could be, if she will succeed or not, but it's an interesting idea. We also had a really cool thing that I thought Kanan said. Hera was talking to Kanan. He's like, well, do you not trust Sabine to be able to use this lightsaber because she doesn't have the Force?
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of,
everyone has a Force.
the Force resides in all living things. You just got to be open to it.
Yeah.
So how do you interpret that? Because, I mean, we've had that idea. The Force is in all things, the tree of the rock, you know.
I believe it is in all things.
Yeah, but not all. But to be a Force adept, you have to have midichlorians. You have to be a
Everyone's
user.
got midichlorians.
Yeah, they do, but
all living
not
things do.
Everybody has the ability to manipulate the Force. Or
It's because
I don't know. Like, can't everybody?
I've actually
use
done
it?
some research on this recently. Like,
Yeah.
like everyone has, like one or two per
Yeah.
cell. Anakin has over 20,000.
Yeah.
More than Master Yoda. So some people are born with more mitochondrial enzymes.
Mhm.
The idea of the Force being hereditary, and that's been something
That's always been there.
that's been around since Return of the Jedi, and actually I think is between episode 4 and 5. That midichlorian idea has been around since then. Like George Lucas sat in a room with all these people who want to start creating EU for Splinter of the
Yeah.
Mind's Eye, And he didn't. I don't think he said the word midichlorians,
No.
but he said it's something you inherit. It's in your blood. He just
Midichlorians, they get that bad rep for being like, oh, that's what the Force says. Like,
Well,
no, they're just how
they think it's a prequel invention, but it's
yeah,
not.
it's
It's
not.
been around for a long time.
the idea has at least been around for a long time.
Yeah,
Well, this kind of goes into Rogue One with Chirrut, right?
yeah.
There's been a lot of debate because on the Star Wars website it says that Chirrut is not a Force user. You know,
He might
and
not.
and he might not be, but
He's Force sensitive.
He's Force sensitive, but where's the line of being able to manipulate and use the Force versus just trusting in it? Because Chirrut, you could say all the things that he did was trusting the Force, except for sensing the crystal. He sensed the crystal in her neck from a very far, long way, and it was hidden. He could not have sensed that without actually tapping into the Force, I don't think.
I think he just, like,
That's not a matter of trusting in it.
he might not be force sensitive as someone who would become a Jedi.
Yeah.
He's Force sensitive enough to occasionally be open to letting the Force speak to him.
But
You know what
wouldn't
I
it be kind of the same idea of what happened in Force Awakens, where Finn is like, we can use the Force, and Han's like, that's not how the Force works. It's like, as much as you can trust in it and believe that you're doing something, there's a fine line between being able to manipulate the energy field, which is what I've considered lightsaber fighting. You know, like, you have to use the Force to be able to fight these masters,
Yeah.
to fight these people that have trained their entire lives. You
Yeah.
know, and this might be a leftover from the EU or from the way we used to think about Star Wars, other than the modern sense. But I personally don't like non-Force users using lightsabers. So I'm a little conflicted with the whole Sabine using a lightsaber thing.
I just don't want her to come toe to toe with anyone who's even remotely had any training and isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anybody that can use the Force while using it, that's why they use a lightsaber rather than a gun, because they can deflect blaster bolts,
Yeah.
In a world, I think, who was the choreographer for the prequels? Nick
I
Gillard?
almost said Syndralig.
No, Nick Gillard, he said, like, in the world where everybody's using ray guns, but these guys choose to use swords, it has to be special. It has to be magic.
Yeah.
Is why they're using it. Sabine does, from what I know, I would kind of not like it if they also gave her Force ability, because
she'd fucking have everything.
with Sabine, a lot of people love Sabine. I totally get it. She's not my favorite character, but I feel like sometimes she is a wall that they threw a lot of things at, and a lot of things stuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But sometimes there's just too much. She's a Mandalorian. She's 17. She's with the rebel. She's a rebel. She's now using a lightsaber. She's got her jetpack. She has all these Mandalorian things. She's drawing. She's a really good artist. She's whenever a character is really good at a lot of things, it kind of, for me, will lessen my enjoyment.
They're not as interesting.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying that she's not an interesting character.
You gotta have these crazy scenarios to why she is in trouble.
Yeah, but now with all those things, she's also like the only one that can unite House Vizsla, and she's like they're putting a lot on that character's shoulders. I don't know if that character, even though you're writing it, you can make her do whatever you want. Realistically, is she gonna be able to hold up with all those responsibilities? But she's now, if this episode is any indication, she'll become a lightsaber user. Which I find is a very exclusive club in the Star Wars mythos.
Yeah, and it should be.
Yeah. And in my opinion, should be specifically to Force users.
Yeah.
The Inquisitors can use the Force, and even they have to do their spinny shit just to keep up with Jedi.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a very long thing of
I
way of
agree.
saying there.
I agree completely. I don't think she should be able to fight Maul at all.
No.
Or
But she needs to be able to be a symbol for Mandalorians. I can get behind that.
she needs to be able to use it to fight other non-Jedi, non-Sith type people.
What did you think about the introduction of the new Mandalorian weapons that was given to her?
Like gauntlets?
Yeah, the new
the
bracers.
weapon, like
the sonic boom.
Yeah.
I think that was it's a cool idea.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, well, specifically, what did you think about Kanan's response when she said, "Do you think this is a game?" and just kind of beat her up?
I kind of thought it was uncalled for.
Yeah.
Personally, like, and even the Mandalorian guy was like, he kind of felt bad.
Yeah. Well, I kind of really enjoyed that part because it was one of my favorite parts of the entire episode, actually, because I love the idea that she keeps not confronting an actual problem. She keeps trying to find workarounds and ignoring something like, oh, I can be beaten this way. Well, I'll just do this, trick, or I'll use this piece of technology, and now I don't have to.
Well, she's not. She's relying on her other stuff instead of becoming a better sword fighter.
Which is what she ultimately does at the end when she comes back.
Yeah. I guess it makes me think of this book called Dark Rendezvous, where this young Jedi who, she is failing all her classes and they're about to send her away.
Scout, right?
Scout. Yeah. And she is in the annual Jedi Temple sword fighting competition.
Yeah.
And she's fighting this kid, and these lightsabers.
They're using training lightsabers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's low energy, and they won't hurt you too bad if you get hit.
And she grabs it, and then uses that to outpoint the kid she's fighting.
Yeah.
And Yoda really approved of it because she's using
whatever's available.
So it kind of made me think that Yoda, in that book, that version of Yoda,
which isn't canon.
Yeah, would like this type of thing.
I mean, I would say it's a matter of, you can compare it to Luke going into the Cave of Dagobah. Like, your weapons, you won't need them. They're a crutch. They're something that you could fall back on and not have to deal with something directly.
Yeah. I
think it's more of a parallel to that. But I thought it was interesting still. Now, I really love the part where Kanan is talking about the properties of a lightsaber in general, which is, she picks it up, she's like, well, it's heavier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And he said it's like it's energy constantly flowing, like, and ebbing back and forth.
And he also said your weapon's older.
He said it's older, so you have to respect it, but he said it's like directing a current of power.
Yeah.
So, there's been that constant fan debate about how heavy a lightsaber should be, Some people say, well, it's going to be weightless. So, the whole thing about using two hands and it's really heavy, that shouldn't make sense. And then there's others that are more traditional saying, well, it should be more Excalibur-like. That's what Lucas thought originally.
Yeah.
And then the prequels, we kind of arrived at kind of like a medium to that,
Yeah.
But I appreciated Rebels kind of putting that final staple in there and saying, like, yes, it is energy, but it has the effects of being heavy because you're manipulating this energy field. There's the reason a lightsaber, you turn it on, it doesn't just go off into the distance because it has this kind of like magnetic function that keeps the energy flowing back and forth,
Yeah.
And it's almost like has some weight to it,
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion...
In my head, I can imagine how it'd feel like.
My opinion is it's pretty much just like a carbon fiber blade,
I guess I...
That would vibrate.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And one thing, they confirmed something that in my head, when I do fight choreography with lightsabers, something I've always had in my head and they've never mentioned anywhere else.
Never.
Is the blades are drawn to each other.
Yeah, me and Shane especially have had this conversation a lot.
And we base some of our fighting off of this theory.
Yeah.
And end up being true.
Like whenever you have lightsabers that are, connected together.
Yeah, like this.
Like this, why can't I just, slide down and get your knuckles?
Yeah, because they're magnetized.
It's because they're magnetized. They're stuck together. They're drawn to each other. That's why whenever you hit and they pull apart, the energy starts to escape. That's why you have these huge flashes.
And actually, the close-up of them explaining that, was they upped the effect, the visual part of it.
Well, they did with the idea. I think it might be properties of that black dark saber. But anyway, it was really weird in the actual episode because it felt like someone's been listening to our conversation.
Maybe. We're brilliant, so why not?
Okay, so talking about Sabine herself, they had that big fight at the end. I personally wasn't a fan of the choreography because I thought it was kind of basic by having, yes, she is a character that's going through a lot of strife, and we have to have a lot of information happen, with it. But in writing, the whole show don't tell I can't get that out of my head. Like, she's just talking this entire time, telling us why she feels the way she feels, versus us being able to experience why she feels that way, And to communicate that or to show it, they have to have her doing this lightsaber battle and pushing back Kanan, and you can say that, well, Kanan is letting it happen, but I felt like some of the moves didn't communicate that as well as it probably could have. So it actually took me out of it a little bit, like when he was kicked down the hill, and then she had the saber up above him, in a kill strike move.
Yeah. And
he's kind of they're shocked and stuff. I get what they're trying to do. I personally felt like that set of choreography took me out of the moment rather than brought me in.
Yeah. I would be interested in hearing Rebel Force radio commentary on this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I bet they would.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I love those guys. I listen to them all the time. I don't know how into creative choreography that tells a story they are.
Oh, I know. But I'm talking about Sabine using a lightsaber effectively.
Yeah.
Was Kanan trying? Was he holding back?
I mean, we know it was a couple days, whereas, Jedi train their entire lives to be able to use a lightsaber and use it effectively, But she just has to use it to be able to claim that title of House Vizsla, So, but anyway, she talks about how she's hiding, and he says, like, what is the truth? Kanan is trying to find the truth. He's trying not just to find out for himself, but he wants her to find it out as well. And she says a couple things, like, I left to save everybody. Her mother, her father. She says brother, too. She made it imply, like, she betrayed them somehow by creating weapons that the Imperials used against them. And now it sounds like they have joined the Empire.
Okay.
It's kind of how she made it sound. So, I felt like in that scene, even though the music was awesome, the animation was great, everything looked cool, except for that stupid Darksaber, I felt like there was just so much happening that, like, I was getting two things real well, and I was missing the third. It was kind of like going by the wayside,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty much all I have. The last thing I wanted to say that I know that we missed was I get a lot of flack for not liking the Darksaber and its effect.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is because, I mean, I'm by no means an expert or professional at creating lightsaber effects, but I bet you I've done it more than 99.999% of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Probably you have.
Like, there's a lot of people that have done it, and I'm part of that exclusive group that have done it a long, long time.
Yes.
And a black energy beam that gives off a white light, it just looks wrong to me. So every time I see it, I'm distracted.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing in nature, there's no light effect in our world where that would make sense. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The thing is like, it's a black energy beam with a white outline around it at all times.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if I were to do this? What's it going to look like? Will the white beam just stay where it's at all the time? If you do that, it looks like a cartoon, which it is. But how would that look in real life? If I did this, how would that lightsaber look? Especially with the tip that does, that has like that kitchen knife tip, like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can really see it. Like, how would that look if I was turning it and it had that effect? It wouldn't look like anything. It would look like a cartoon effect.
Yeah.
So that's why I just wanted to say, like, that's why it bugs me. I like the idea of it being a Mandalorian weapon.
Yeah.
Or a Jedi weapon that was a Mandalorian. I love the idea of it being like something that's been passed down and used as a symbol of power.
Mm-hmm.
I just purely dislike the dark energy that gives off white light. Did you have anything to say about it?
It doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't hate it. I like it more that her backstory behind it.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just the effect.
Yeah.
It's nothing else.
Because of you obviously have done the visual effects for
Mhm.
every single one of our lightsaber fights. You've been exposed to it. I haven't.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone who watches it have been exposed to it.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there on Front Street. It's not that I hate the
Maybe Dave
story behind
Filoni
it.
maybe Dave Filoni will watch us and he'll see you. And you know what? I'd take a couple ideas from those guys.
No, he'll just be like, yeah, he's right, but you know what? And delete this video.
I don't know if this holds a candle to our first conversation, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Aaron couldn't make it here, but we're going to now go back to the stuff that we were able to recover, so we'll end it with that.
Big Brad said, will we get to see the return of the original spirits of the Force from Clone Wars?
I would say it might not fit into Rebels right now. I mean, I like those. I like the ideas.
Well, what spirits do they talk about? They talk about those ladies with the faces at the
Force priestess.
Yoda, or they talk about the Mortis. The Mortis.
I mean, I don't know.
Probably no and no.
I can't imagine either one of those really working.
Mm-hmm.
All that's left of the Mortis trilogy is like the sun, right?
Yeah, they're a vision for this chosen one to see.
I feel like for those kind of questions and for the theme of the imbalance of light and dark, we got the Bendu right now, so we might not need that. The Bendu.
The priestesses, I just don't think any I don't think any of these guys merit seeing them. I don't think they're as important as like Yoda.
Yeah, and when we saw those, like it had to do with like Anakin the Chosen One, or like Jedi's in their prime that like had big connections to the Force. And like Yoda, who has like the strongest connection of like any Jedi.
I agree. It had to do also with retaining your identity, and none of these fuckers are going to do that. Except maybe Ahsoka. I can imagine Ahsoka, but that's about it.
Tino said, "Do you think Sabine will become the new Mandalore?"
I would say, I don't know, because I don't know if there is such a thing as Mandalore in the new canon. I mean, we all know that Mandalore the Ultimate and all those things from the old EU.
Yeah, and I mean, the Old Republic games have Mandalore, and so did KOTOR and all that kind of stuff, but that's not canon.
Yeah, and the only thing we've seen of Mandalore...
Did they ever mention in the Clone Wars?
I don't believe so. I don't know. I can't remember. The only thing we know from Clone Wars is that there was a pacifist government on a planet called Mandalore, and then there was Death Watch. And then there was, the leaders of Death Watch, and then there was Duchess Satine, and there were politicians and stuff like that, but there was never such a Mandalore thing. Maybe in, I don't know, in ancient times there was still a Mandalore and stuff like that united all the clans or whatever, but I don't know if we've ever gotten an actual new canon confirmation of that happening. And even if it did, I don't know if that's a role that needs filled necessarily.
I don't think it matters.
She just needs to unite her clan, right?
And I don't think she should have every single thing in the world. Like, awesome at this, awesome at that, Mandalore.
The main thing with it is, like, depending on whatever happens, like, you don't really see any Mandalorians in episode 4 and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, going on.
Yeah, they're not doing shit.
There's no Mandalorians.
Whatever they do here, it probably doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's no Mandalorians in the Battle of Scarif.
Yeah.
There's
Boba Fett, in the original trilogy, and other than that...
Maybe, you don't know.
I didn't see him.
Did you see any Mandalorians?
Yeah, but
I saw the ghosts. I didn't see them.
Well, if we found it later on, there's like a Kanan and Ezra running around there.
I mean, they could be there. I didn't see any Mandalorian ships. I didn't see any. The ship that we saw Maul in. That's a Mandalorian ship.
Maybe there's just a few. One.
I don't
or
know.
they're not there.
Or they're not there.
Or that.
Big Brad also said, "Do you think Starkiller will ever show?"
Unfortunately, no.
No. I don't think that there's room for the maybe an adaptation, but I feel like if you change those things that make Starkiller, he's no longer Starkiller.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I don't know about Vader taking like the apprentice and that whole story and stuff, but
And
the young Jedi they find,
yeah,
maybe that kind of stuff could be.
But the story of how they formed the rebellion has been over.
They might do it. Yeah,
overwritten.
tweak that. They could maybe find a way to plug it in.
Maybe.
Make them essential somehow to the rebellion. But I like the idea of Vader taking an apprentice and to overthrow the Emperor, and the Emperor maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe adapt it, tweak it so maybe the Emperor doesn't find out until later on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like Starkiller wasn't his name. His real name was
his real name was Galen Merrick.
Yeah.
Which they've used Galen now, and then they've used Starkiller now.
Yeah.
In other places.
Yeah, Starkiller base.
And then Galen Urso.
So I mean, maybe there could be some tie-in with like having a character, but not necessarily being the same storyline from.
But we get Sam Witwer with Darth Maul and Palpatine when he talks.
Yeah, do love Sam.
He also had. Do you think we will ever see Ezra take on an apprentice?
I don't think so. Ezra still has at least 2 years until we get to the episode 4 times, and I honestly don't know what's going on with Ezra and Kanan around that time.
With that too, with taking on an apprentice, you have to find someone who's worthy too.
Yeah.
And the chances that they found Ezra to begin with to be an apprentice for Kanan seems fairly rare. For him to happen to find one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Luke finding Obi-Wan makes sense because Obi-Wan was watching over Luke. There's a reason for that, you know?
Yeah. I would say if, let's say Ezra survives this series and we see him again as an older man in a different series, maybe we'll see him with an apprentice. But not in Rebels.
Like if he survives and ends up working with Luke later on when Luke's rebuilding the Jedi Order. That could be kind of cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I wouldn't mind that.
They would be the same age.
If he survives. That'd be neat. Like he could help him teach then. The last question I really see is Isaiah Thomas said, "What battle would you rather see more? Darth Vader versus Darth Maul or Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul?"
It's Vader versus Maul. It's mine. I love it, especially if they went with the way it happened in that one comic all those years ago.
Oh yeah,
that was so good.
Where it's exactly.
He's like, "What do you hate more? To be able to defeat me?"
Myself.
Yeah. That's such a good moment. I would probably say Darth Maul as well, just because we've already seen Obi-Wan and Maul fight so many times.
Yeah.
We've never had that kind of moment happen.
Plus, you can't have... I mean, we feel like we're working our way up to a Obi-Wan Maul confrontation with the whole Tatooine and Twin Suns and all this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, with their destinies being combined and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like if they're going to do something like that, they have to take care and not go too overboard with it and be very delicate with it. Because there's a couple things where... Maul cannot call him Obi-Wan because he hasn't heard that name in a really long time.
Yeah, but he also never remembered and R2, an astronaut. You know what I mean?
I don't think that they're gonna change that kind of line. So iconic like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a name I haven't. And then he's looking at him like,
yeah, but I think story-wise, it's a bigger deal that the whole R2 thing's a bigger kind of fix than that line. I think
He's just old and forgetting shit.
Yeah. There's that, and there's also the idea that R2's nothing really special. He's just an armor tech droid. You know that he probably dealt with a lot of them that we didn't see. Like he's a big deal to Anakin, but whenever Anakin thought he lost R2, it's not like Obi-Wan was like, "Oh, I'm so sad, Anakin." No,
yeah,
it's just a droid, Anakin.
Yeah.
You know.
I think as far as name-wise, like Darth Maul just has to call him Kenobi, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that works.
That too.
Kenobi.
Yeah, I can see him doing that too. It's like finally. I like that. I like the idea.
Okay.
Other than that, we don't really have any other questions.
All right, poll for this week. What does the audience think about the Black Saber? I'm notorious for not liking the effect itself, thinking that it doesn't look like anything real, so it's distracting. But what does the whole audience think? Do they agree with that idea, or do they think it looks fucking awesome?
Yeah.
Or
so like when you see it,
I don't care.
when you see it, it takes you out of it, right?
Yeah, it's very distracting for me to see a black energy giving off white light that shines white onto surfaces.
I understand. I'm gonna go with I like it / I don't care.
You gotta pick one. There's no slash.
No, there's no you get one option. Unless Eric doesn't hit the fucking checkbox again.
You don't like it? Huh? You don't like it?
No, I
like it.
I abhor the design.
I love it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
All right, so that's 2 wrongs and 1 right. We want to hear what you guys have to say. You can go to patreon.com/blindwave and find the poll.
Eric counts for 2.
You guys only count for half?
Apparently.
Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you would like to watch more Rebels along with us, you gotta make sure you're subscribed so you can check out every week. However, I believe that Rebels has like a month break.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, shit, that was short-lived.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know.
Make it last long.
Dave!
Floaty.